example.
I am.
When you go to the toilet, you know.
We're not talking about me going to the toilet.
No, listen to me. It irritates me. There's a reason there's a handle on the freaking toilet.
Yeah.
It's to flush.
Yeah.
You know, my dad used to ask me when I was 8 or 9 years old, you saving that for something? You saving that for later? You flush it. Pull the handle,
Hey,
guys.
wait a minute. You ought to be like me. Be the first one in this radio station in the morning, and you walk in, and there's that big brown smiley face waiting for you when you walk in to take your constitutional, and you know it's been here all night long.
Exactly.
And it's...
What is the deal with people?
Hello.
There's a reason there's a handle on the toilet.
It's winking at me. It's alive.
Hey, also, Gary, my brand new Ranger boat, and I'm going to...
This is a pet peeve?
Thank goodness for Pete Daniels and the guys that buy you outdoors is all I can say.
I just got to remind, Pete Daniels is my fishing partner.
He is your fishing partner. He's also the savior for Bayou Outdoors Service Department.
What happened?
Yeah, I was having trouble with my backup when I put my boat trailer in
yeah,
reverse.
he told me about that. Yeah.
The brakes would lock up.
Yeah.
So I had to get out and do it manually.
Yeah.
Well, we were blowing fuses in my truck.
Yeah.
I brought it to Pete first. We tested the boat out. Everything looked fine. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Brought it back to Natchitoches. Took it to the boat ramp the next morning.
Yeah. Did the same thing?
Blew a fuse.
Oh, no.
Wouldn't back up.
Yeah.
I was hot. Now I'm upset because we didn't get it fixed. So I take it to Natchitoches Ford.
Yeah.
Natchitoches Ford charged me $117.
You take the truck.
Truck and boat.
Okay, so they got the boat.
They wanted the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah.
They wanted to find out
$117.
$117. Went through the whole thing. It's in the trailer. I said, are you kidding me? They said, no, it's in your boat trailer. It's not on your truck. Your truck is fine.
Yeah.
Brought it back to Pete them today.
Yeah.
And we're all a little short fused, or all three of them. We're all, me, Pete, everybody that's involved. We're all like, oh, dang it, there ain't nothing wrong with the trailer, Graf. Yeah, it is. Something wrong with the trailer. Well, turns out we hooked my truck up to another Ranger boat trailer in the parking lot. Everything worked fine. Didn't blow nothing. Everything was great.
Yeah.
Went back to my boat trailer, blew a fuse when we hooked it up.
Wow.
So he kept it. He calls me on the way to the station. He said, Graf, we found the problem. I said, are you kidding me? He said, no. Here's the deal. When you put your license plate on, you pinched one of those wires.
Oh,
I said,
dude.
are you kidding me? He said, no. And what happened when I got home from bringing it to Pete, it didn't have the plate on it.
Oh.
So that's why the trailer tested right.
Yeah.
When I got home, I put my license plate on. Then went fishing the next morning. And I pinched one of them freaking red wires. I was like, but them to find that is impressive to me. That's impressive.
I had an issue like that with a trailer one time. Wire going to one of my lights was run under a board. This was like a flatbed utility trailer,
right?
And it was running under a board, and that board over time had rubbed that wire raw, and then was mashing it down into the A-frame. I mean the frame across there.
Yeah.
And
Shorten
on occasion, my lights would flicker and then it'd blow a fuse.
Yeah, there you go.
And I'm like, what's the deal? And so they found that.
Also, over at O'Reilly Auto Parts over here off of Pines Road, right here.
Yeah.
Trish, she's looking for a sugar daddy, Gary. Do you know any sugar daddies are available for Trish at
I bet.
O'Reilly?
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, Kurt Carver.
There you go.
Kurt Carver. I know you've been shopping, brother.
Well, there you go. See, Trey, I told you we'd help you out today. There you go. You got a name and everything.
I'm just telling you.
But anyway.
You were at ICAST last week. We've only got like a minute and a half for you to do a wrap-up.
Real quick, and these are going to be, hopefully, looks like sponsors of the show. One of them is Groove Fishing, GRUV fishing.com. Go to their website, groovefishing.com.
And that's
it's tackle boxes. It's a new line of tackle gear.
Just terminal or all types of tackle? I mean, they got crankbait boxes and...
There you go.
Okay.
There's a look at
oh, wow, what a spinnerbait box.
They got a hook box, dude. This is a great hook box. And they got a crankbait box, and you can take it. These lid closures are magnetic.
Oh,
no
wow.
snaps, no clips. It's strictly magnetic, and you can shake them all you want. They ain't coming
Really?
out.
So if
crankbaits ain't moving in there either.
If you drop it, is it going to open?
Well, I mean, if you drop it, yeah.
Because the ones that,
I don't drop mine, but you drop yours?
I fall in the lake regular. Okay, who else?
All right. Also, let me see here. Who else I got next?
Nines Optics.
Nines Optics, a series of sunglasses. And by the way, Bayou Outdoor is actually, and Kirk Carver is actually carrying this brand of sunglasses. Nines also makers of Onos, which are the ones with the bifocals built in. Great pair of glasses.
For me and you.
Yeah, exactly. You got that right. K2 Coolers. Louisiana-based K2 Coolers coming on board. I'm excited. I'll know more on them this afternoon. Randy Wilford is the guy that put me in touch with them at ICAST this week. Yeah, we got to get him on to
Mr. Haney.
And Stingray Line Cutter is another product that is also definitely looking to come on board. They were excited. That was the last booth I talked to late Thursday evening, and they were excited to be affiliated with our show as well. Stingray Line Cutter, and that's stingray.com. StingrayLinecutter.com.
Yeah.
And Mustang Survival. Everybody knows about Mustang. They make all kinds of PFDs. They got gloves. They've got rain gear, and they're going to be an official sponsor of the show.
What do you think about these gloves? That's pretty sharp.
I like them. I like they're thick. They're not real lightweight. They're good, durable.
They're just a fingertip kind of glove.
Right. They're for fishing.
Does it keep? Are they water repellent?
I don't know. I didn't look at
I just didn't know if they'll hold water.
It's more for skin protection.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not really a winter glove.
No. It's not a winter glove at all.
Okay, sit tight. Chris Friday, our buddy with, what is it, Louisiana?
Rut Report.
Yeah. Is on the way next. He's got some summertime deer season preparation ideas for us. We'll do that in just a minute. Hook it up and track it down, 11:30, The Tiger. Hooking up and tracking down 11:30 The Tiger. It's Gary McCoy and the old Ranger, Iowa Pro Staffer Steve Graff, the Mud Hen Mike Eccles. He is still like down in Cozumel.
Today's his day he comes home.
They keep putting pictures on Facebook, and I'm telling you, our boy, our boy's having a good time.
I think they banned him from Cozumel.
I don't think he'll ever be back.
He's on the first ship out of there today.
Hey, this segment brought to you by Cypress Knee Outdoors, Nichols Department Stores, and Louisiana Coastal Conservation Association. This segment is brought to you by Daiwa Rods and Reels, J&J Exterminating, V&M Baits, and Paul's Farm and Garden. And our Paul's Farm and Garden question of the week this week: what is a great food plot that will last most of the hunting season and keep the herd satisfied and coming back for more? The answer comes to us today from Michael Waddell, who is the bone collector.
Yep, it's called brassicas.
No, brassicas.
You call it brassicas?
No, brassicas.
Brassicas?
Yes, that's what. That's not
sure?
what I call it. That's what everybody calls it.
Okay,
brassicas.
Brassicas. I like brassicas. It sounds better. It sounds more sophisticated.
Well, it ain't right.
As the season progresses and the winter gets colder, brassica. Good gosh. That's difficult to pronounce.
Okay.
Brassica food plots become hot spots like a Golden Corral buffet. brassicas is the term for cabbage, turnips, and radishes. And once the frost hits, they are sweetened. I didn't realize that. The leaves on those plants become sweeter, which is the main attractant. The cold sends the sugar concentration onto the leaves. Some species, such as turnips and radishes, go beyond the greenery and provide late-season bulbs that will help maintain those late-season bucks after the rut. August is a prime month for planting brassicas. God. And once deer get hooked on brassicas, it's hard to imagine planting any
You
other
start
people.
second grade next week. Is that right?
I had it in my head, brassicas. So now you really screwed me
Your
up.
Paul's Farm and Garden question of the week. Chris Friday from Rut Report, Louisiana Rut Report on the phone.
Chris going to agree with me.
Chris, now wait a minute. I want to ask you a question. Have you ever planted the brassicas?
I have.
Did you have success with those?
You know something, I was as disappointed as can be. I had the finest stand of brassica you ever want to see, and we couldn't see a deer on it.
Amen. See that you're saying exact. You know where my Uncle Gary Brummett's place is.
Yes, sir.
I planted brassicas there. Number one, that stuff stinks when you're walking to your deer stand. I mean, it smells rough. But I never once saw a single deer in it. Now, maybe they come to it after the season here. Maybe it didn't get cold enough here to draw them into it. Maybe they got into it later. But you're saying the same thing that I saw.
Well, now, I will tell you, I had a fine stand of brassica, and we had pretty much abandoned it by the middle part of November. Made a pass through there a time or two, and then during the Christmas holidays, we went through there because the little area had flooded we went through there to get around a little flooded area. And when I went through there before daylight, and I noticed something looked different. But when I come back through after daylight, it was completely leveled.
Wow.
And we came back in after Christmas and wound up killing a buck off that food plot. But that's when I done some research on it and found out that later in the year, what it does is it takes a frost to turn that starch to a sugar. And once you turn it to a sugar, now that was in the early stages of when brassica was being introduced down here. I know some guys that are having some better luck with it. And rape is a real popular. You know, that rape is a real popular brassica that's being added to a lot of the mixes that we have down here. And I'm sure Paul has rape in those mixes that he offers, and also probably has it in a 50-pound bag as well.
Now, is that something that you try to incorporate? Do you try to have something ready for the start of season, something for mid-season, something for late season? Obviously, you've probably got some summer plots out there as well, but do you try to plan accordingly now that you know that some of this stuff isn't really going to come on until late season?
I do, yes, sir. You know, we started out playing around. We've always hunted hard. We used social media and started videoing, and we actually got picked up by, you know, a couple of shows last year, and then this year we're part of that Closing the Distance team on the Pursuit channel and everything. So the pressure was really on to do the best we could do to produce good video footage, and to do that, you had to kind of go all in. So yeah, right now we've got iron and clay peas and soybeans that are waist high, and some of them are knee high from where the deer are pounding them. But we're going to go in here in the next couple of weeks and go preparing ground for early season plots as well as for late season plots.
Well, you know, Chris, you know, we've had Hunter Mulligan on here, and he's a tremendous deer. I know you know Hunter as well. He knows what he's talking about, just like you do. Y'all both know your stuff. Hunter's always been an advocate of, he always felt like the food plots are more for late season, especially if you've had a good rainy season. Deer have so much browse in the South, especially in Louisiana with the honeysuckle and everything else that goes. He said that's still their preferred food source.
Well, they're browsers, not grazers.
Yeah, that's their natural habitat, their natural resource. And he says, then come the acorns. He said, you know, if you got a good acorn crop, they're gonna go to that's candy. He said they're gonna go to that. And then he said, so he always felt like that the food plots were more designed for the late season type. But do you find early in the season y'all are killing a lot of deer off the early food plots, or is it more late in the year when those really become effective?
The last several years, Steve, I've killed a good deer during the bow season off the food plot, and I can't explain why. What we try to do is we try to offer. You talked about that golden corral, you know, that buffet. We try to offer that buffet atmosphere, and at the end of the day, if we can focus deer on a certain part of our property and leave their bedding area undisturbed, what it creates is it creates a lot of trails and travel corridors leading to and from. Now, last year, I think a week ago on Closing the Distance, they showed a video that I self-filmed where I shot he wound up being 11 point with my bow. Last year, that deer wasn't native to that area of mine, and the only thing I can guess is that deer hit one of those trails coming to that food plot that those deer had been coming to regularly, and he just checked his way right on in there trying to see what was going on.
Can you run deer out of an area if you've already got a good stand of oaks? You're in a bottom, and you know that the minute that it starts raining oaks, they're coming in there. Do you just leave that alone, or can you enhance that with an additional food plot? Because I've heard people say, "Oh, don't jack with that. You're going to run them out."
Yeah.
My opinion is different. There's different circumstances and everything, and so if you got a piece of property that you can monitor the pressure on and minimize the pressure on those deer. Now, I will tell you that October the 1st or in between October and November is not the time to go to doing that, Mr. Gary. But I think you can go in the springtime when everybody else is out of the woods, and I think you can go in and it. In most cases, I guess there's that special place where it don't need nothing, but there's a lot of areas in there where you can go in and enhance it and make it even better. That's just an opinion, though.
Well, your opinion,
Oh, yeah.
Your opinion is why you're on the radio with us.
Yeah. Chris, do you need to do a soil test, or is that
Yes.
is that overrated, or that's something you
Yes.
think you need to do?
I don't think it's overrated. You can get by without a soil test, but in most cases, if you get by without a soil test, you're either going to fertilize and lime too much, or you're going to fertilize and lime not enough.
Exactly.
What a soil test allows you to do is a soil test. Most folks think that's just going to cause you to have to add more lime and more fertilizer, when in a lot of cases that's the opposite of the truth.
Yeah.
A soil test will let you know that maybe you don't need as much lime, or maybe you don't need as much fertilizer per acre, but it's going to fine tune what you need, and it has science to back it up. So a soil test, in my opinion, is well worth the $10 that you'll spend to get it running.
Yeah.
And should you rotate crops just like a farmer does? Should you do, brassicas one year, brassicas 1 year, and then maybe clover the next year? I mean, should you rotate your plots?
Now that I don't know. I'm an advocate of clover. Clover is a good producer for us, especially if you can get the right setup where you got a moist soil that is going to be shaded to keep the sun off of it. It seems like for the most part we've had better luck with clover than anything else. Now, when you get into beans and corn, and you get into some of the bigger crops like they have in the Midwest, I think those guys have to rotate those crops, because beans and corn both take from and put back into the soil different nutrients that the other one may need.
With your clover, what's the longest you've had a stand of clover last for you?
I've had some 7 years.
Wow!
Holy cow!
Oh yeah. See, if you get
It'll regenerate.
If you get good, and it fixes its own nitrogen. So
Right.
like when you fertilize for clover, what do you put? 0-15, 15, 0-15, 20?
I believe that's it. Yes, sir. 0-15-15.
Yeah, and it's amazing.
It's oxygen.
Yeah, it's amazing what it'll do, and it's amazing that the clover likes to be clipped.
Yeah.
It likes to be mowed, whereas the weeds don't. And you can go back through with a good herbicide, and you can annihilate the weeds in there. And I mean, just this beautiful.
Kick.
Oh
Yeah.
man! And the tonnage per acre. Now, one other thing, I had a good friend of mine tell me this. That was a biologist. He told me that one of the things that we really miss out on around here, he said we should be fertilizing every stand of honeysuckle that you've come across. Do you ever fertilize your honeysuckle?
We fertilized honeysuckle, and we've also fertilized that berry briar down through down through a patch of pine woods and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you call it old blackberry briar.
Yeah.
I promise you fertilize it, and you can see the browse line where the deer will browse on it, especially when it's slush. And, this year we've been blessed with a lot of rainfall, so I went and helped a guy on his lease last week and done some clipping and some setup on some stands for him. And, man, they had the biggest stand of blackberry vines you ever want to see in there. And I mentioned fertilizing it to them and everything, and they were going to do so.
Oh, that's awesome.
They say wet springs will cause blackberry vines to just explode. If you got a real wet spring.
Wet year.
Mm-hmm.
We got an awful wet year, and usually that'll communicate to horn growth. I think you'll see some better bone on the deer this year because we've had the good rains at the right time.
Mm-hmm. All right, Chris, one final question for you, then we got to roll into our next segment. If you were headed out this weekend and you have not done anything yet this year, if you were headed to the deer lease this weekend, what would be the first thing on your mind?
Just so happens I'm headed to the deer lease this weekend, Mr. Jerry, so we're gonna wind up pushing trees out of the way, and we're gonna go through and clip that grass in the food plots for the first time. And we're gonna go in there and clip. We're gonna go in there and clip a couple of them, and then come back a couple of days and spray them. And then I got a new area that we're gonna develop. We're gonna try to put in some beans for the fall and everything. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in and we're gonna kill a boundary around the outside edge of it and dig it up and get it ready to burn. We're gonna actually try to burn about 10 or 12 acres this year, so we can come back and plant something for them for the fall.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You the man, Chris.
Chris Friday from the Louisiana Rut Report. Check him out on Facebook. And what's your predictions, Chris? We're going to have a great year?
I think so, yes, sir. The acres are going to scatter the deer, so there's going to be a lot of deer scattered and everything, but I think you're going to see some good quality deer killed this year. Yes, sir.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Chris.
You always educate.
Yeah, great job.
Appreciate you guys.
We are hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger. Hey, thanks a lot for tuning in, hooking up, and tracking down. It's Gary McCoy and the Old Ranger Pro Staffer Steve Graff. This segment is brought to you by Cypress Knee Outdoors, Nichols Department Stores, and Coastal Conservation Association of Louisiana. And I got a little something for you from United Rentals, your one-stop shop for all your rental tools and equipment needs. Services like custom on-site solutions, online management tools that will simplify and save you money on any and all your projects. With online services and equipment protection plans that will make your job easier and safer, United Rentals will make sure your rental equipment is used effectively and efficiently so that you get the most out of your rental time. Go to UnitedRentals.com to find a dealer near you. United Rentals, the largest rental company in the world. Thank you, Brother David Duschel.
I'm telling you, man, they are the best. I need to go see them. I got to do, those genies that you do, the lifts.
You rubber bottle, and she gives you.
Well, I'm looking for that too.
Okay. She gives you 3 wishes.
I need a genie to clean my power wash my top of my carport.
Yeah.
All my lights are all dirty now. Anyway, I need to go see
little
those.
Skytrack looking little thing.
There you go.
Those, you could drive that
One of
thing
those
from up
lifts.
there at the top.
Yeah.
While you're up there on the top, you don't have to get down and drive it.
Oh yeah, heck yeah. I can have fun with this thing.
Son, let me tell you. Hey, you talk about get something, and David's in my deer lease. Let me tell you right now, when we get ready to work on a deer stand, we're not playing.
Yeah, he's probably got all the equipment y'all need.
Rad Trasher is on the phone from Louisiana Coastal Conservation Association. And Rad, I saw a headline this morning that really caught my eye, and I'm hoping that maybe you've got a little background on this. According to the headline, there is an activist group that supposedly has filed lawsuits against the Trump administration because they released the control of the snapper season to the states, and they're saying that Louisiana and a couple of the other states are all doing it wrong. Have you seen this?
We have seen it. It's an interesting thing. It is a suit filed by the Environmental Defense Fund, and EDF is known to not to be on the other side of the fence from all the sportsmen as well as your listeners. They are a group founded in Austin, Texas, that are funded by some of the greenest leftist groups that you can imagine.
Bunch of tree huggers.
Well, y'all, absolutely. You can call it what you want. These guys, literally, they don't want you fishing. They don't want anybody fishing, and they think that the way they're going to do it is make sure only the commercial people have a right to it, and it's only a very select group of those people that will be able to fish. And they don't want anybody else because they think that is what's best for the environment and best for the fish. And we all know that, what you were talking about your deer camp earlier, you need to harvest some of them, and we're having that problem right now. Red snapper, they don't let anybody catch them, and now it's hurting mangrove snapper and triggerfish and a lot of other stuff that we have all sitting around oil wells in Louisiana. But the suit didn't surprise us. That's what those guys do. They sue everybody. Now, I will tell you, the release of the days and the control over the snapper was only intended for this year. Congressman Garrett Graves was kind of one of the spearheaders behind it, congressman from down here in Baton Rouge, but had a whole lot of other support because what everybody's realizing is the economic impact that a snapper fishery, a recreational snapper fishery, far outweighs the commercial interest as well as tons of other tourism ideas. And so they said, look, this is crazy. We know we got to get it fixed. And in the meantime, we're going to do this and open it up to everybody. So it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise anybody in our group. Whether they win or lose, who knows? But like I said, the intention was never to do it moving forward. And that's really the only repercussions they will have if they actually do win.
Well, is the species of red snapper, are they that threatened that they just feel like there's with recreational side that they would do too much damage to the population? I mean, is that the problem?
No, not at all. What is happening? And look, CCA is we put the resource first. If we thought snapper were overfished and in dire straits, we wouldn't want people fishing them either.
Amen. Yeah.
That is not the case. It is the product of a horrible management tool that was created years ago through what's called Magnuson-Stevens Act, and it's run through the Department of Commerce. Well, the Department of Commerce, as you would imagine, for the last couple hundred years, is focused on the business of it, and the economics of recreational fishing really hadn't been factored in. And so what you have, to simplify it, is this system that creates what the stock is supposed to look like. The problem is they govern the entire state, the whole Gulf, as one. So we have, in the state of Louisiana and Texas, if you put us together, we basically have 80% of the fish stock as well as most of the entire structure in the Gulf of Mexico. The problem is on the east side of the Mississippi River, you have 80% of the fishermen, mainly being in the panhandle of Florida and Orange Beach and in those areas. And so what happens is they count all the fish that those guys take and the stock from out there, and the number is skewed. And so it's just not a fair swap. And one of the things that Congressman Graves, as well as us, have been working on is to try to get regional management, whether let our Department of Wildlife and Fisheries tell us what's best for us, our fishermen, and our fish, because red snapper don't move.
Right,
You know,
right.
Those aren't Miami fish. Those are, when they're in Fouchon, they're still in Fouchon, and that's what we got to fix.
How would you rate the season for the recreational anglers? Because I've been watching social media over the last several weeks, and it looks to me like everybody is having a blast.
Oh, it is incredible, and people want to do it. It's easy. You don't have to have a giant, big boat to go out. I've done it from my little bay boat a couple times this year, and I've also done it on some bigger vessels. Snapper off the coast of Louisiana are not hard to find.
Can you wade? Can you wade for this fish? I mean, you go wade fishing?
No, you can't go wade fishing. Chances are most of them are going to be in 40 feet of water or more.
Yeah.
But you're talking around oil rigs, where I usually fish is around Grand Island, Fouchon. You're talking anywhere from a 6-mile run to, 15. I mean, it's still not that far. But if you can't find red snapper at structure in South Louisiana, you need to find a new hobby. They are there. I give you a perfect example. On opening day of June 1st, I went out with a bunch of media folks for the Fouchon Tarpon Rodeo. We left the dock at 7:05, and at 10 after 8, I looked at the captain. I said, "Well, that's our 16. We're done for the day. What's next?" It's quick, it's easy.
Wow.
And
Takes you longer to run out there than to catch.
I'm telling you.
Oh yeah. Well, unfortunately, you can only keep 2 per person, and so it doesn't take long. And what you see is a lot of people loading up their boats just to make it worthwhile with a ton of people. But it's easy. I'm not saying that sometimes you don't have to look around a few different spots, but they're there. They're plentiful. The stock is healthy, and we're seeing ranges in anywhere from 6, 7, 8 pounds to in the high 20s.
Wow.
And they're plentiful and they're out there. And I would encourage all your listeners, if you ever want to make a good meat run, now's the time.
Well, what would you say is center stage for CCA right now? What's the most important thing on your plate?
Boy, that's a tough question. Our mission is to protect and to preserve marine resources, and that takes a lot of different avenues. And one is obviously the red snapper, because not only is it a incredibly flawed system that we're dealing with, but it's also one of those kind of gateway problems that if we let them do this, we're going to have problems with grouper and a lot of other species that we also target. Well, and then the other side is the habitat. We built a reef a couple of weeks ago down in Big Lake near Lake Charles, and we're trying to build recreate as much habitat as we can, as fast as we can. And really, right now, the 2 things come down to is money and permitting, and both of them are kind of clicking along right now.
Well, Red, closer to home up here, say in Northwest, people think of CCA, they think coastal. Y'all have gotten involved in other projects well north of the coastal line. Is anything going on in our region, our neck of the woods, that our listeners and viewers that are up here in this area would like to know about?
Well, I don't know of anything coming up at the moment. I'm not sure exactly the coverage area. I know we will be taking part in the Ouachita River Sweep, which is usually mid-September, where it's a cleanup project of the Ouachita, and I think they're trying to organize one somewhere in your neck of the woods on the Red.
That was my next question. Do y'all have anything to do with Red River? Do y'all, since it feeds into the Mississippi and then goes into the Gulf, do y'all have much to do with it?
The way we usually do it, obviously from a fisheries management standpoint, our saltwater is our focus, and that's kind of what we deal with. But we also understand when it comes to access as well as cleaning up the environment and things like that, that those tributaries are necessary. We did a cleanup day in some small bodies of water that run into the Mississippi near Baton Rouge a couple weeks ago. Like I said, we're doing the Ouachita up in Monroe, and so we do a lot of that. And
we need a Salvinia cleanup day.
Yeah, can you work on that?
I can name you 5 bodies of water that need cleaning up right now.
And we can probably get you 3 guys that'll help out.
Oh, that'll be perfect. Can you find a couple airplanes and helicopters too?
Exactly.
Look, I'm a guy like y'all. I'm from Monroe, so you're not going to fool me on the Salvinia problem.
Exactly.
I get it. But we do that, and I'd encourage your listeners to get with their local chapter, and if they see a need, we're always willing to entertain it and help. And usually, what we try to do is tie in a youth kind of education program with some of those kind of cleanups and different projects that we do. But as far as true fisheries management and habitat restoration, most of it's all below I-10. But we've got a lot of folks up in Shreveport and Monroe and Ellick and Natchitoches that care about us and end up coming to the coast and enjoying fishing.
Yeah. Well, in closing, any big winners in the last couple of weeks in the Star Tournament?
Well, we released 100 tagged redfish this year, and we wanted more winners, and we got them. So I had nine tagged fish caught so far, which has produced 3 winners. So I got 2 trucks are gone, and a boat, motor, and trailer are gone. And so I've got 8 left. 8 boat, motor, and trailers just for the tagged redfish division. So they are out there. They are being caught. Be looking for that little red tag swimming around on a redfish, and the next one will be a 21-foot Nautic Star.
Thank you, brother. Rad Trasher with the Louisiana Coastal Conservation Association. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
Sit tight. Some outdoor outlaws on the way. Hook it up and track it down. 11:30. The Tiger. Until last year. Hey, thank you for tuning in, hooking up and tracking down 11:30 The Tiger. It's Gary McCoy and the Ranger Pro Staffer Steve Graff. The old mud hen Mike Eccles, Mr. Funny is he? You think he can speak Mexican yet? He's in Cozumel.
I don't know.
You don't think he'd drink a margarita, do you?
Or 3.
Or 3?
Yeah.
What
I guarantee you, Mike Eccles had fun on this trip.
Oh, you know he did.
Don't you know he had fun?
I know all the people he was with.
And he hit the buffet more than once.
Oh. Hey, this segment is brought to you by Toledo Town and Tackle, United Rentals, Santone Lures, and Lake Fork guide Johnny Guys. Johnny's going to be on the show here in just a little bit.
Johnny
We're going to have him
today.
on. P.D. Vincent's going to be here. We're going to talk about the Bass Cash Bash, and apparently a little controversy on the Bend.
Yeah, PD's going to clear that up real quick.
PD's been fishing. Can you see? He's already here. Can you see? He's got a little tan on his face.
I'll tell you,
Are you catching any fish? Catching a few. Are they deep right now? Yeah. 30 foot of water on the Bend.
White perch?
No.
He's bass.
No.
You're strictly bass, aren't you?
He doesn't have any tagged white perch out there.
Well, hey, I wouldn't.
You don't think he's crazy? He's
That may be an avenue for him now. I bet he's thought about tagging some white perch.
We've got a few guys that have stepped outside the lines of the law. We call them outdoor outlaws.
Yep. And the first one, well, they're all from Texas, so Texas finest right here. Outdoor Channel's Pigman found guilty on May 9th. Brian Keith Pigman Quokka was convicted of the offense possession of wildlife not legally taken by District Court, Canadian County, Oklahoma, after he entered a plea of no contest. According to reports in October of 2016, Quokka was hunting deer near a feeder when a turkey showed up. Quokka harvested the turkey and then aired the episode on his outdoor TV show, Pigman the Series.
That's because he didn't think about putting it on Facebook.
I'm telling you, I'm like,
oh my God.
Social media and TV is just ruining some people. But anyway, Pigman the Series, they were fined, he was fined $972.25. It's illegal in Oklahoma to hunt turkey within 100 yards of any bait, which I believe is true in a lot of states.
Now, I don't think that they have that law in Texas. Probably that's what he probably didn't know he was breaking the law.
You could be right.
I don't.
Like I said, not all states have that law.
Yeah.
So,
how many is too many? Game wardens were patrolling the Sabine River when a call came in from a gladewater fisherman regarding a boat repeatedly driving back and forth at high rates of speed near the city bridge. Well, wardens notified the Gladewater Police Department. Officers were able to locate and shut down the boat until the wardens could arrive to investigate. Now, I don't understand, A, why'd the wardens have to call the police department if the police department was just going to go there and wait on the wardens?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Why was one
And why did the police department have to turn it back over to the wardens? Because the guy's up on the road. He's not on the water.
No. I understand he's on the water.
Okay.
He's in the boat.
Okay, well, it says...
So that's where the game wardens came in.
He was near the city bridge.
Yeah, near the city. He wasn't running on the bridge.
Okay, anyway. The operator was identified and later acknowledged consuming 3 or 4 beers. Then stated he was too drunk to be driving this boat. I've only had 3 or 4, but I'm way too drunk to be driving this boat. The subject failed field sobriety test, was arrested by the wardens for boating while intoxicated. The blood test lab results and case are pending.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of guys don't think about that because, you know, back when you and I were growing up,
dude,
it was, you know, that was a big thing. You know, you go get a case of beer, go fishing, and
dude.
And nowadays, you know, that's the same as driving your car.
Half the guys in my class should have been arrested. So
the other half just didn't get caught.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Oh, man. Rattler exposes a man. A call from an informant was received from Jasper County game warden with that an individual in San Augustine County, which is right across the Texas line there, was in possession of a timber rattlesnake inside a residence in a fish tank. The Jasper County warden relayed the information to San Augustine game warden that executed a search warrant for the residence and discovered the timber rattler along with drug paraphernalia.
You got to have drugs if you got a rattler.
That's where I was going. You know, you got to be on drugs, first of all, to be caging a timber rattler.
What are we going to do with him? Put him in that aquarium.
Yeah. Let's take him home. The snake was released and cases were filed. That's the sad part. The snake was actually, he wasn't killed.
I wonder what kind of drugs it was.
I don't know.
I didn't show you this. I wish my buddy Kristen Duke sent this to me yesterday. And today's his wife's birthday. Happy birthday, Leslie Duke. I love you, girl. But Kristen sent me this, and it's a picture of a snake. Now I want you to tell me.
Oh, I saw that.
Have you seen what kind of snake is that?
Copperhead, what I would have called it.
That's a weed snake.
A weed snake.
Yeah. Come here and look at this.
Where is that? Where is that located?
Kristen said it was by his swimming pool.
That's marijuana growing out of that pot.
That's why it's a weed snake. That's why it's a weed snake. Everybody's looking at the snake going, "Oh, it's a diamondback rattler."
Honestly,
it's a copperhead.
Honestly, I just noticed that when you held it up.
Nobody realizes that's a dope plant growing
right. Like a freaking marijuana growing out there.
That snake won't bite you. He just wants a Twinkie.
Yeah, he wants a Twinkie. All right.
Hello. Yeah, buddy. That's a potted. Did you hear that? PD said it's a potted plant. Okay, now you were at ICAST last week. We got a couple of minutes to kill here.
All
right. As you were going through, you know, because this isn't really open to the public. It's just open to dealers and you know, guys in the media, things of that nature.
That's it.
What do you think is going to be that one thing at the show that everybody is going to have with them in the boat this coming year? Ooh. Something that they don't have now.
I didn't see that one thing.
No baits, no.
There was nothing. You know, Santone, as we had on Cliff Pace on the show last week. Not Santone, but V&M has a new jig out. It's a skip jig.
Mm-hmm. What's the difference in a skip jig and a regular jig?
It's the design of the design of the jig head. It's more compact and it's designed for getting up under brush and under boat docks better. And
so, is it one you'd flip bushes with?
Yeah, you could. Yeah,
but that's not what
that's
that
not
would
what
not
it's
be the
designed to
application.
do.
Okay.
I mean, it's
Okay.
designed to get up under cover, you
Okay.
know. But anyway, I tell you something that a lot of people really liked, and it was the stutter step.
Really?
Yep, it got good reviews.
Rattle Trap's new topwater bait, the
Yep.
stutter step.
It got good reviews, and I've sent you a picture of one
Yeah.
I caught on one. I bought two of them. I bought the chrome and blue, and I forgot the other one I got. But anyway, they're the 4.0 series. That's their newest ones, the 4.0. The big ones are already out, but the 4.0s are just now coming
I want to
out.
ask you, okay, because when you purchased this, do you fish it straight out of the box, or do you change the hooks on it?
I fished it straight out of the box. I didn't change the hooks on it.
What about a crankbait? You just bought a brand new crankbait.
You know, we got in this conversation with was it Cliff Pace, I think, the other day, and when we had him on the show, and he talked about he thinks even on baits that they produce, he changes hooks out.
Yeah,
you know? And he
said if he's catching a lot of fish,
he'll change them out.
He'll change them out that day
On the
you know,
water.
in the middle of catching fish.
He'll change them out in the middle. I have never done that. So but I'm not a huge crankbait guy either.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not one of those huge. Now I know on Rattle Traps, and Rattle Trap be the first to tell you, their original hooks that they used to use on it, they were all very cheap hooks.
Yeah,
I always take them old chrome,
Little
take 'em
aluminum
off. Yeah,
looking
put
little
on
thing, yeah.
put on some good Gamakatsu's treble short shank hooks. But anyway, as far as product, again, I really believe the neatest thing I saw there was the Groove Tackle Company, and that's what I walk around looking for. You know, Gary, if there's every rod and reel manufacturer in the world there. There's every bait and tackle company there in the world that is there. It's the unique products like the Stingray line cutter that I'm looking for, that I feel like is looking for that PR, that publicity that they're not getting right now, that they're a new product. That's what I'm after when I go to one of those places, because, like I said, crankbaits are a diamond. They're freaking everywhere. Now, I will say this: the new crankbait by Strike King, was it 2.5?
No, they've got that.
I think this is a 4.0.
It was a 4.0.
There's the 4.0 by Strike King.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, when Greg Hackney did a video clip for one of the tackle warehouse, or somebody videoed him showing that bait and all the features of that bait, I had about a dozen of them right there, because he had me convinced that sucker will catch fish. But to walk up, you look at a crankbait, it's a crankbait. You walk up, you see a spinnerbait, it's a spinnerbait. You know, unless somebody sits down with you and really goes into great detail, and then it makes you wonder, are we overthinking this thing? You know, that's how I feel when I go to some of the ICAST booths and this is the latest and greatest, and this is the best thing that's ever come out. And, you know, I'm not looking for that.
Have you ever had the discussion with your wife? Because I just went through this. Have you ever had to justify $4 for a single half-ounce tungsten weight?
Yeah.
Have you ever had that discussion with your bride?
No.
Does she have any idea
No.
that you've got one little compartment in your terminal tackle box there?
Yeah.
You got one little compartment that probably has $500 worth of weights in it.
Exactly.
How
At
do
least.
how do you explain that?
you can't.
How do you tell somebody who's just entering our sport it's worth it? I know you're going to break that off on occasion, and you didn't just shoot a blasted crawworm or a lizard's over $1.
Yeah.
By itself, just the plastic.
Well,
so then you've got a $4 weight. You got a over $1.50 hook, $2 hook.
Yeah.
And then you've got the plastics. You just broke off a $10 bill, and you take a 9-year-old out there, and you got to take out a loan to go again next weekend.
Well, remember when you probably were just getting out of fishing, the titanium spinnerbait came out.
Oh, yeah.
$15 for a spinnerbait.
Yeah.
And we were used to paying $5.95.
Oh, $2.50.
Yeah.
They're hanging on the counter. You buy them at every little tackle store in the world.
And I thought, a $15 spinnerbait, I would never in my life spend that kind of money.
Do you know?
Now they're regularly $15.
Do you know, when it comes to topwater baits, I'll spend that $17 on a Yellow Magic in a heartbeat. But I still have the toughest time convincing myself that a tungsten weight, I'm going to feel that much more.
No.
Do you believe that the tungsten weight is that much of an improvement.
You ain't got to sell me on time. I'm like Mike Eccles. Mike was the same way. He was thinking like you. He said, until I started using, he said, it absolutely makes a big difference in your fishing.
Amen.
That and fluorocarbon line, I still say, are the two greatest things to come along for sensitivity and feel, and that fish breathes on it, you know it. But here's where iCast, to me, fails a little bit, Gary. This was bait of the year.
What is that?
That's a bat.
That's a bat, like a
bat with wings,
yeah.
and it's about
they had
as big
duck
as this
last
phone.
Year. Yeah.
Last year was a duck.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm like Cliff Pace and I'm like Phil Marks. That's where iCast can lose credibility.
Yeah.
Because the media people that vote for these stupid things
don't know anything about
bait
fishing.
of the year. Are you kidding me? Come on, dude.
It's so cute.
You know, let's look at the jig that came out. Let's look at the new crankbait.
Him.
No, they don't even look. I'm telling you, it drives me up the wall.
All righty, we're going to move into the next segment here in just a couple of minutes. We've got FLW Pro Chris McCall on the way. He's going to be talking about the upcoming FLW Cup. That's next. Hook it up, track it down. 11:30. The Tiger. We are hooking up and tracking down 11:30 The Tiger. This segment brought to you by Ranger Boats, the Bob Seeley Big Bass Splash Series, along with Despino and Jim's Big South Tire. And on the phone with us now, FLW Pro, no, not.
No,
on the phone
we're
with us
gonna
here
get
in a
him.
few. Here in a minute. Well, you know what we did do, though? We got P.D. Vincent. He's actually going to be on with us here in a couple of minutes, but we got P.D. Vincent to go ahead and step in. And he is with the Bass Cash Bash. Started things off on Sam Rayburn earlier in the year. We're going through Labor Day on Toledo Bend.
Correct. We still got 6.5 weeks left on Toledo Bend, so still got 6.5 weeks to catch a tag.
Is there still a truck out there swimming around?
Still a truck and a boat.
And a boat out there.
Still a truck.
Can
and
you
a
tell me
boat tag.
what bay it's in? Is it Lanam?
No,
or?
I have not.
Turtle
That's
Bay.
something I
Okay.
have not shared with anybody.
Now, question along these lines. How many $1,000 fish are still left?
They're on Toledo Bend. Every 10-pound bass, of course, is $1,000. Biggest bass for the summer is going to win $5. An 11.27 is what's leading that charge right now.
Will that win it?
$5,000. It's got a good shot. There's been 10 fish caught so far. Out of the 10 bass over 10 pounds, only one of them had signed up.
Wow.
Out of 10. There's been 19 tags caught so far. Out of 19 tags, only 3 of those guys had signed up.
Wow.
Just like you were the first year.
Hey, you don't have to keep bringing that up every time we talk.
That's what, that's what gets it across.
You
to
need to
people.
do what I did. I signed up for both of them at the same time. That way it's over with.
Yeah.
I was
Your
Rayburn.
bonus is included for when you sign up for both of them. You get your
Get
bonus
your T-shirt.
included for
Get
free.
your
You get
T-shirt.
your extra
Now,
$500.
with a T-shirt, you add like $100,000 if you win, right?
I had $500
Oh,
to each
God.
prize-winning fish if you get the bonus T-shirt, and of course, if you sign up for both lakes, you get the bonus.
These
T-shirt
hats
for
you
free.
brought us, is this something also for purchase?
Well, we had a few
This is just
hats
for a
made
special?
just for. we had a few guys
You know,
that
they don't
say,
make a
I
hat
don't
big
really
enough
wear
to fit Graf's
T-shirts.
head.
Yeah, right.
That thing will look like a thimble on a basketball when he gets.
We've had a few guys say, you know, I'm not a real T-shirt guy.
Yeah.
And so we had some hats made to give them an option if they wanted to do the bonus but didn't want the T-shirt.
Yeah.
We had some hats made so they can choose between a hat or a T-shirt.
Okay, so far report on this. How many of these fish reported, the tagged fish reported, have come from north of the bridge? How many south of the bridge? Or do you know?
Absolutely we know, because that's the first question we ask is where did you catch it? Because we want to see where it was caught in opposed to where we released the fish.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because what we do when we catch these fish, we'll haul them 10 miles down the river, down the lake and turn them loose, because we want to know, are they going back where they were caught, or are they staying where we released them?
Yeah, what's been the result?
How many do that?
99% go back to where we caught them originally.
Really?
Yes, sir.
What's the furthest
sir.
one was caught away?
15 miles.
And see, I heard
15 miles.
years ago, Honey Hole Magazine out of Lake Fork, Texas, they did a study, and they would be at the tournaments, and they would put resistors, transmitters inside the fish that were released. And the bigger the fish, they came to the conclusion, the bigger the fish, the better the homing. They would actually go all the way back to the same tree 8 miles up the lake.
Yep, that they were originally caught
That
off
they were
of.
originally caught off of. But the smaller the fish were less likely to migrate that far back, just because if they found an area where they had plenty of bait fish, plenty of food, plenty of cover, they would stay.
Well, see, because we have a 10-pound category, we don't tag any big fish.
Right.
I say any. Every now and then we'll tag a 5 or a 6, just because we happened to catch one that day while we were out there tagging. The fish that we tag are 14 inches to about 2 pounds on average, and they go back. I know, and of course we don't have a digital tracker that shows the exact tree that fish goes back to. What we're basing our data on is I caught it in Lanai by, about this far into Lanai, and when I asked the angler, where did you catch it, and he gives me his description, it's,
pretty close,
real close to where we originally caught it.
Wow.
So we don't have that that spot on, GPS locked in.
Right.
Well, we're still waiting on. We're trying to get a hold of Chris McCall right now. FLW Pro Chris McCall. Hopefully, gonna
he
get
fishes
him
the
on.
rattle trap, doesn't he? He's a big rattle trap guy.
Yeah. He's got a little discussion for us, hopefully, about the FLW Cup that's coming up here before long. One of the things that I wanted to ask you, though, because tournament fishermen like that, let's just say that, the tournament was on Toledo Bend. FLW comes to Toledo Bend.
Yes. Chris
catches a tag fish. He got into the Bass Cash Bash. Chris catches a tag fish. What's he do?
All he has to do when you catch that tag, all you have to do is simply clip that tag. Use a knife, use a scissors, use fingernail clippers. It's the same plastic that holds a price tag on your T-shirt when you buy a new T-shirt. Mm-hmm. You clip that off, you put the tag in your pocket, continue to fish your day, cull the fish, keep the fish, whatever you need to do. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, once you're finished, simply bring that tag to any one of our 30 registration stations. They fill out the paperwork, and we take care of everything from there.
Okay. See, I was afraid that if I caught a tagged fish and it was part of what I turned in for the tournament, once I give those tournament officials my sack of fish, those are not my fish anymore.
Correct.
Those fish belong to
the tournament.
The tournament.
Simply clip the tag before that should be the first thing you do. I remember you had the angler from Northeast Louisiana University, Craig.
Yeah.
All right. And it's not Northeast anymore. It's University of Louisiana at Monroe. I apologize.
Yeah.
I went to it when it was Northeast. But he actually caught a tag, wasn't registered, went home that night, registered, caught another tag the next day during the tournament.
Get out of here.
During the collegiate national qualifier on Sam Rayburn, he caught another tag. He was registered. They put the tagged fish in the live well. His partner culled the fish whenever they caught fish number 6. He threw back the smallest fish in the live well. Did not clip the tag off the fish.
Didn't realize.
Just in a hurry. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Whenever you're fishing a tournament, you kind of get in a little bit of a hurry. Poor fella culled the fish and, should have won $1,500, but didn't because he threw the fish back when all he had to do was immediately when he caught it, clip it and put it in his pocket.
Wow. Okay, the biggest mistake that we make Is Chris on?
No, he's going to call. We're going to do him 12:15.
Okay, good.
We'll just go ahead and do.
Biggest mistake that we make, obviously, is not signing up.
Right. You wouldn't believe how, but people actually get mad.
What's it cost, like $1,000 to sign
It's
up?
$50.
Oh yeah, $50.
$50. And there's not an angler fishing the lake that does not have a rod in their box that
I've
costs
seen
less.
Graf drink $50 worth of Dr. Pepper in one fishing trip.
I've seen that on a mega weight.
Yeah, you want? Let's talk tungsten lure. I mean, tungsten steel. I mean,
Exactly.
you know.
Gosh.
And our entry fee is $50, and that's for 4 months on Sam Rayburn, and then it's $50 for 4 months on Toledo Bend. And
you can sign up for either or both.
You can sign up for one. You can sign up for both. If you do sign up for both at the same time, we include that bonus T-shirt deal, bonus hat or T-shirt. We include that for free, which adds an additional $500 to your payout.
Wow.
How did your Rayburn
Turned out real well. We had 57 tags were caught over there. Of course, not all of those guys were registered. But for our first year on Sam Rayburn, we were real pleased with the participation that we had.
Now, do you see doing more there? Because it's the number 2 rated lake in the country. It jumped up there above Toledo Bend. Do you see doing more there next year? Maybe
we will definitely do what we did there this year. We'll definitely plan to do it next year.
Yeah.
We're going to do Toledo Bend again. We've also started talking to some stores around the Lake Fork area. We're looking to maybe do something on Lake Fork next year. On Lake Fork, what we're considering,
do a bunch of 19-inch fish. See how far that goes.
Well, what we're going to do on Fork, we're going to have tagged fish just like we do on Rayburn and Toledo. But on Fork, we're discussing having a big fish of the month. Pays $2,500. The biggest fish for the month of March, the biggest fish for the month of April.
What a great idea!
You know, that way it gives you more ways to win other than just catching one of our tags.
Yeah, eliminates me.
Okay, we've had some controversy on Toledo Bend.
No, Rayburn.
I mean, it was on Rayburn?
Yes, sir. That happened on Rayburn. We had an angler. They were fishing a club tournament, and he turned in a tag. You know, said he'd caught a tag. Of course, we do a polygraph on every single person who turns in a prize.
And you know what?
fish.
You need that bears repeating.
Yeah.
People need to understand that cheating in a bass tournament of any size, caliber, location isn't being tolerated anymore.
Correct.
At all. There's a zero tolerance for that.
And we have $400,000 worth of tags in the lake.
Wow.
So we can't,
you can't afford.
We've got a $60,000 boat out there. We've got a $50,000 truck out there. And you can't just let everybody go, no rules, go do your thing.
So every person is subject to polygraph.
Not subject to.
Will be
polygraph. There's no subject.
There's no
to.
maybe to it.
If you turn in a prize-winning fish with Bass Cash Bash,
you're going to pass a polygraph.
You will pass a polygraph before you get your check or your truck or your boat.
Gotcha.
Now, do you line that up? You have a place,
I take
location?
care of all of it. I pay for it. I set up. I've got 2 different guys that help me out with my polygraphs. They, at your convenience, he goes and meets you wherever you need him to meet you at to get your polygraph done.
Okay, so this guy caught a fish. He's turned it in, says, hey, I got one of your tag fish,
Correct.
And it's time for the polygraph.
Yes. So he took his polygraph and failed. I paid for an additional polygraph.
Now, I want to explain something. That's something else that happens frequently. Guys will fail a polygraph who are the first time through, for some reason something stumped them, something was, and a lot of times they
nervous, whatever.
They'll take that second polygraph and everything comes through fine. We saw that last year in one of the boss tournaments, and it was all up and up. Everything was fine, but an individual had failed it the first time. They ran it again, and everything was kosher.
Yes. So I paid for an additional polygraph test. I paid twice for it. When he took it the second time, failed again. The question he was missing, the question he was spiking on, are you the person that caught the prize-winning fish? That was when he was asked that question, he bombed it. I mean, his heart rate shot up, everything. So
boom.
Naturally, my assumption is he's fishing a bass club tournament. Your assumption would be the guy fishing in the boat with him wasn't registered, caught the fish, and gave it to him. He turned it in. So I asked him, I said, well, listen, you were fishing a club tournament. You had another person in the boat with you. I'm willing to go above and beyond. I will let your partner take the polygraph test stating that he saw you catch the fish. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
You know, if he passes saying, hey, I could. So I call the partner. He gives me the partner's information. I call the partner and say, hey, this is what's going on. He's turned in a prize-winning fish. He's having trouble with the polygraph. He said, I fished with him all day. I never saw him catch a tagged fish. I don't know anything about a tagged fish. And I'm sure if he caught that tagged fish while I was in the boat, he would have been a little bit excited because he just won $1,500.
Oh.
So
Wow.
I stopped it right there. I immediately contacted the Texas Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, and I said, listen, guys, this is what I've got.
Yeah.
I handed everything over to them. Within 2 days, they had gone to the convenience store where the gentleman turned the tag in and had the partner that had caught the guy that had actually caught the tag went in the store with him, so they had him on camera.
So the guy who caught the fish was not fishing even with him.
Wasn't even in the same boat.
Wasn't even in the same boat.
But that guy was not in.
He was not signed up for Bass Cash Bash, but he knew this guy was. So he said, hey, look, you take this tag, you turn it in, we'll split the money. And the game wardens, like I said, within 2 days, they had names, they had all the information that they needed.
Wow.
They put the case together.
He's got to be related to Eccles.
Yeah. FLW Pro Chris McCall is up here in just a sec. He's got a little info on the upcoming FLW Cup. Okay, P.D. Vincent, I want to get the Bass Cash Bash. Easiest way for me to sign up.
The easiest way to sign up is go to basscashbash.com. You can register right there online, or you can stop at any one of our 30 registration stations that are spread out from Shreveport all the way to Beaumont.
Hey, thank you for always doing an awesome job with this.
I appreciate it.
It's just getting bigger and better every
year.
day.
Thank you, PD.
It is. And thank you to all our participants that you know are a part of it. Thanks to y'all, we've been able to donate a little over $32,000 to nonprofit organizations in the last 2 years.
That's
good deal.
Awesome.
Awesome, man.
We are hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger. We are hooking up and tracking down 11:30 the Tiger, Gary McCoy, along with the old Ranger Pro staffer Steve Graff, P.D. Vincent of Bass Cash Bash hanging out with us this afternoon while Mike Eccles is relaxing on the beaches of Cozumel.
Partying like a rock star.
Yeah, I'm telling you. He got flip-flops on.
He's on his way back, man. He may be in a truck.
Got one of them little drinks with an umbrella on the top.
Yeah.
You know.
The margarita.
He might speak Mexican when he comes back. What do you think?
He might. Probably has a tan.
No,
Does he have a tan line?
No. Hey, on the phone with us is FLW Pro Chris McCall. We got a big FLW Cup coming up. And, brother, the rumor on the street is that, the other guys don't even need to show up. You're going to win this thing.
Yeah, I wish that was the case. But I tell you what, as hot as it is here in South Carolina, I wish I had one of them fruity drinks with an umbrella, too.
Yeah, but you know what's weird is I talked to some friends of mine yesterday in Virginia. And they were talking about just how bad it was. They said even in D.C., around the Potomac River, just scorching.
Brutal. Yeah.
So we went to Potomac last month, and, man, it was. I've been there 3 times, and it was hot as it's been any time we've been there.
My son's going to school in Philadelphia up there, Chris, and he said it has been just brutally hot up there. And but speaking of hot, you're on a hot lake, which is a great place to be for the FLW Cup. It's a fishery that has been just off the chart over the last few years. Well, it's been a hot fishery for a long time. Lake Murray, South Carolina is a great place to go fishing. How is that lake? Is this tournament shaping up to? Will the lake fish small, Chris, or is it gonna be able to spread out a little bit?
No, I think it'll fish pretty. It'll fish fairly large. There's a lot of water and there's a lot of different ways to catch them. There may be some guys grouped up in areas where they were caught, before, but I think it'll spread out pretty good.
What do you feel like is it going to take each day? The Cup being, of course, I still slam FLW all the time, even in person. I'll talk to Chris Jones or whoever about why in the heck do y'all have this sucker in freaking August every year? Won't you move it to October, November, somewhere where these guys are out of the heat? But anyway, is it 12 pounds a day going to win it? Is it going to be 16 pounds a day? What's it going to take, Chris?
No, I don't think. Being that it's 3 days, it might take a little more average than it did last time. I mean, I'm thinking off the top of my head, it took like 51 last time. So, at 12 pounds a day is probably going to. 12 pounds is probably going to get you to the third day. You'll have a little bit of a deficit, but I think 12 pounds is pretty solid. You'll see a few good stacks. Steve Kennedy caught a big stack the last time they were here, but it just depends on the heat, whether they get any weather come through here. Right now, it's brutal right now, and this is just the first day I've been here, but it's hot.
Well, Chris, I just got a text here a second ago. FLW says that they're entertaining the thoughts of actually moving the Cup to South Dakota in January, so that Graf will be okay with that. So
get it north of the Mason-Dixon line.
They just warning everybody: bring your saw. You're probably going to need it.
Well,
you can't have everything.
No, and it would be nice, to fish one, a different time of the year. I like the way bass goes in February and March. It'd be great to go to a lake like Rayburn or Gunnersville or somewhere like that, where you could get a rattle trap biting the grass, or even though we're here now, it'd be great to maybe go further north, in August and maybe fish a smallmouth lake for a championship, but. It is what it is. We're going to fish Murray, and we're going to do the best we can and get after them.
What would you rate? The BASS just came out with the top 100 bass lakes in the country. What would you say is Chris McCall's favorite body of water? When you get on that water, you can get into a rhythm quicker than anywhere else.
Man, Lake St. Clair in Michigan is by far my most favorite place to fish.
Really?
So when you get around smallmouth, you're at home.
Yeah, it's really weird. I don't know why I click with them so well, but Detroit, at St. Clair, Champlain. I love Champlain. I really like to catch smallmouth. It's a passion, and a lot of guys go up there to like Champlain and go to Ticonderoga and go catch largemouth. Not me. If I'm driving that far, I'm catching smallmouth.
Yeah,
I've always said if a smallmouth weighed 100 pounds, you wouldn't want to put a boat in the water.
No, they're just something else. And we went to Cumberland this year, and Lake Cumberland was full of them too. So it's been nice to catch them. I love messing with them. We go to St. Clair a lot just to fun fish because it's so good.
Now, Chris, let me ask you this, because I know you've got experience on Lake Texoma. I've got a big Costa Series event coming up on Texoma.
Can you send him some coordinates?
Yeah, I'll take that. And he could probably send me some too. But Chris is probably in that tournament. But anyway, Chris,
no, I'm actually gonna miss it.
Okay, well, send me the GP. I'll send you my email address. Okay, now, getting back to my question, is a smallmouth on Texoma any different than the smallmouth, say, in Champlain or anywhere else?
Oh, yeah.
There are differences. Okay, that's interesting.
They're a lot different. They're way more aggressive up there. It's a totally different deal. Like at Texoma, the smallmouth, they want to bite when it's cloudy and nasty outside.
Right.
You get up north, they like it dead calm, sunny, and slick. It is totally different. They do act a lot different.
I'm telling you, they are just like women. Take a Texas woman. Take a Texas woman. She's okay. Weather's all right. Everything's fine. You move her up around New Jersey, she is just pissed off at the world.
Yeah, there you go.
You talk about aggressive. That's the way I've always made it.
Send all hate mail to Gary McCoy. Yeah.
Okay, now when you're there at Murray, I mean, what are you thinking is going to be a pattern that that will hold up for the length of that cup?
Well, Murray's got blueback herring, which, in the bass fishing world is kind of something that you kind of dread. Herring are crazy, and they just relocate from day to day, and the bass follow them. And then you add on top of how, that it's hot. So, you've got that going against you, too, as far as it being a tough bite. There's going to be a lot of different things going on. There'll be a lot of junk fishing, which has been the case the 2 years they've been here. There'll be some school fish. I don't know how much, there'll be some deep brush piles in play. It's really going to be a little bit of everything going on up here.
Well, and it's that time of year. And also, I'm going to toot Chris's horn a little bit because a lot of people don't know this. Chris McCall is the guy that is behind, in my opinion, and it still is today, I think, the number one swim jig on the market today. That Sandtone lure swim jig, it was the hottest bait going for about 2 or 3 years in a row. It was the best swim jig on the market, and I still come in. Chris McCall was the guy behind that bait. Chris, great job.
Yeah, that Sandtone swim jig is special, and it really was unbelievably hot around Rayburn for quite a while, and we still catch a lot of fish on it. I caught it the last day at Potomac. I was having I'd almost blown my chance the first day to make the cup because I had a really bad first day and caught 12 pounds, and I put on a river brim swim jig the second day about 1 o'clock and ended up culling up to 16, to make sure that I made the cup. So it's a great bait, and and I love throwing. If I could get by a whole season throwing a swim jig and a Bill Lewis rattle trap, I'd be a happy guy.
Well, you know what, you just brought up something that sparked my imagination. How, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest and 10's the highest, how much do you put in color? If it's a swim jig, if it's plastics, how much confidence, is that color that important?
Yeah, I believe it is. I've seen it. People ask me that a lot about a rattle trap, especially. And
well, that's me. I was just following all their lead. I just wanted to make sure that I asked you the same questions they did.
Yeah, I've seen it. Make a difference so many times because watercolor, the clouds, just the color in the creek you're fishing of the water where the grass is at. Some may be off colored, some may be extremely clear. Chrome blue, makes such a difference on a sunny day. Swim jig, same way. When those perch are spawning, you want to throw, a perch-colored swim jig. When it's a shad, you want a white one. So, yeah, it makes a big difference to me.
When you first hit the water, it's your first practice day. You probably got 30 rods piled up on the deck of the boat, and you're ready to go. How long will you throw swim jig, crankbait, whatever the case might be? How long will you throw that before you've said, okay, they're not on this? That's hard to say. It's like here we started out this morning. I haven't been here in the summertime, so for the first 2 hours, I threw a buzzbait just trying to see what would happen to cover some water, and we got a few bites, and I'm sure buzzbait's going to be a player in it. But when you go to these tournaments, you kind of what you think is going to work is how you start out, and then you start getting stuff out of the way once you get started because I always start the tournament or practice with a ton of rods, and by the tournament, I'm hoping I got 6 or 7 on the deck. Yeah. I've always said that the guy's got 2 rods on the deck.
Yeah, he's the guy you better look out for.
Yeah, you better tie on to him.
Yeah, and that is definitely the case most of the time. But this is one tournament where I bet when they show us on TV, you're going to see guys with 15 rods on the deck. It could be that big a junk fishing tournament.
Yeah. Now, Chris, another thing, too, I know you being sponsored by Rattle Trap and all that, Bill Lewis, they've come out with this stutter step, and I've actually thrown the stutter step in the 4.0 they introduced at ICAST. I've actually thrown a couple of these, and the fish I'm catching on are really quality fish, 5, 4.5 and above. Do you
He's
have?
caught 2.
Is that
okay?
well, I've only thrown it for 10 minutes and caught 2. But anyway, Is it a bait
So,
that will
man,
be?
it's a 5-pound average kind of a bait.
Will it play in your arsenal this week?
You know, actually, I have Wes has yet to send me into those new 4.0s. Now, I've got the big one, and last year I caught some big smallmouth on the big one. So,
Right.
You know, the fish that bite that stutter step, they do seem to be a better quality.
Yeah, they do. I agree. The two I caught, they were.
You know, I mean,
According to
it's
McCoy.
almost like a spook, but I mean, you know, it's such a bigger body bait that big fish can't help but go after.
Right, right.
How much do you think that you do now that's just second nature to you that you didn't do when you first started into the fishing world? Meaning, like the way a fish bites, the way it moved out of the cover, the ambiance around you. I mean, because as time progresses, you just get more in tune with the things that fish do and the way that they're acting and the way that they're staging. Would you say?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to. How much of that do you think you've developed in the last few years you didn't have before?
Well, I definitely think, I fished the tour the first time around for, I think, 6 seasons. And, and I did okay. I was almost 50% on getting checks, but I had a lot of panic in me. It was easy to spin out during the day and ruin your whole day. And now as you get older and you get used to more situations and stuff, it's easier to pull your head out of a spin and say, okay, you may not get a check this tournament, but you need to go like Potomac, the last tournament. You need to go back out. You need to catch 16 pounds, and you need to make the cup. Same thing at Mississippi. I finished, I think, 4 ounces out of the money at Mississippi, and I made a choice to stay in this one particular lake that I thought I could do well in, but it got real muddy in there and kind of messed it up. But when you look back, that tournament was one of those tournaments where 55th place was a bunch of points, and it kept you right where you needed to be. So you learn to sometimes lay up that it's not going to be, everything that you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I honestly think, 10 years ago I was a better fisherman because I was more aggressive. I was ready to get up every single morning and fish. But now I think I'm more relaxed and mentally, I'm a better fisher mentally than I was back then for sure.
Well, exactly. You're just more patient as an angler, and rather than going for it on 4th and 1, you kind of either back up and punt or maybe kick a field goal instead. So
yeah, I mean, I can think back of so many times that just and I've always, it was crazy because I've always done great in the coasties, but the tour is, like I said, I'm about a 50% check casher, but I've not made. This year I made 2 top 10s. Well, I'd made 2 before that. In 6 years or 7 years of fishing them. So. You just get better with age when you start to learn things. Sure, a little.
Can I get you to call my wife and just remind her that that works, not us guys?
Yeah.
Well, I just hate that it took me till I was 43 to learn all this and start to mature a little bit, because it's a lot funner ride now than it used to be.
Well, brother, we do wish you the absolute best of luck, and thank you for being such a great ambassador for not only FLW but for the sport of bass fishing.
Yes.
Hey guys, I appreciate it. I appreciate y'all having me on. I almost forgot when I got underneath the bridge, and I thought, well, that's going to be too noisy, so we better get out underneath the bridge and get on the phone.
We thank you, Chris. Good luck, man. We'll be following you.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
FLW Pro Chris McCall. They've got the FLW Cup Lake Murray, South Carolina in August.
Yes, August.
Fish will have ticks on them, man.
I'm telling you.
We're hooking up, tracking down 11:30, the Tiger. Hooking up and tracking down, brought to you by Natchitoches Ford, Wildwood Resort at Toledo Bend, and the Cowboys Wild Game Washer.
Yeah, I'm looking for. What am I supposed to be reading here?
You've got the best times to fish.
Oh, okay.
The most important thing we're going to have on today, besides Johnny Geist, and you're going to hold up the whole show. You've gotten old.
I got it.
And can't see nothing.
I got it. Here's your
you
dial.
See what I live with, PD?
I don't know how you work with him every day.
Here's your dial. Well, me and PD were talking. That's what got me distracted. Here's your dial with Gamagotsu best times to fish. If you can handle the heat, like in this studio, it's going to be a great weekend for fishing. The Friday fishing is rated as good, with Saturday and Sunday rated as excellent. There's only a 10% chance of rain all 3 days this weekend, but it will be hot with highs around 96 and a low of 77 each day. We will be in a new moon phase this weekend. Best times, early evening or midday. Friday, 10:06 to 1:06 p.m. Sunrise 6:21, sunset 8:15. Saturday, 11:07 a.m. till 2:07 p.m.
Ooh, that's going to be rough.
Yep, that's midday, all right. Sunrise 6:21, sunset 8:15. And Sunday, 12:08 till 3:08 p.m. Sunrise 6:22, sunset 8:14. Don't let the heat scare you, folks. The fish are biting a little bit. This has been your Daiwa Gamakatsu best times to fish. Gary, back to you.
Yeah, you can't beg Johnny Geist to take you at night, though. He says, I'm catching so many during the day. Why do I want to sleep? Johnny Geist, Lake Fork Guide of the Year, our hooking up and tracking down reigning Guide of the Year for the last 3 years, I believe. Johnny, now, when somebody shows up, how often do you have somebody that says, hey, I just want to catch a ton of fish. I want to catch a whole bunch of fish. I don't care if they weigh a pound.
No, most everybody I got, they want to get the double digits.
Yeah,
they looking for the big boy.
The biggest fish of my life.
I quoted you, Johnny Geist, yesterday, and I gotta pay tribute to you again on my regular radio show. I mentioned that sometimes you gotta take stuff back to square one, and I said my friend Johnny Geist, who's a guide over on Lake Fork. I said, if you ask him, what is the most important thing that's going to happen when you take your guide party out? And Johnny told me this one time. He said, the most important thing is that we get back safely to the marina and as close to the time as I told them that we'd be there. Right. He said, that's the most important thing. And I said, most people will say, oh, it's catch 10-pound bass or it's catch 12-pound bass, catch 3, of these. And Johnny, that's the thing that intrigues me most about you is you're one of the most intelligent anglers I've ever been around. And the fact that that equated to you was everybody had a smile, everybody had a great time. You can't guarantee a fish biting.
Johnny, I don't know what he's after, Johnny, with you, but he's after something.
No, but I tell you what. Well, I tell you, the best. What we're hoping for today, don't die of a heat stroke before we get through this. That's it.
Is there even a breath of wind blowing today?
Well, just right before I dialed in, we finally got a little breeze coming out of the south, but it had been just flat the last 3 days. I call that the kiss of death on Lake Fork.
Yeah,
and it has been just super tough, guys. And you're hearing that about a lot of other lakes around right now, but. We're all scratching our heads. The sand bass still disappeared, and they're here by the millions, and we can't find. We did catch one finally yesterday, first time in about a week. So.
You've got till Monday at 2:00 to figure it out, Johnny.
Well, we might meet up and go to Monticello if this sucker doesn't do any better.
Hey, I can do that.
Now, you know what? That's a great point. That's something that a lot of people don't realize. Johnny is very versatile. Johnny was on Lake Tawakoni for a long time. Monticello has become one of his newer favorites. Lake Fork. How often will you tell somebody, hey, look, Lake Fork's just slow right now. What would you think about going over to Lake X? How often have you made that call?
We do that a pretty good bit, and sometimes, especially when we have a large tournament coming to the lake, and the pressure is going to be even more intense than it normally is. In fact, this weekend we've got a Lake Fork Open high school event. They've already got well over 125 teams coming. So when it gets real crowded, sometimes it's just go to Monticello or Lake Welsh. And I want to get down to Lake Athens. I hear they're schooling down there. I haven't fished that one yet, but that's another spot we can get to.
What would be the first thing if you and I and Steve and PD here were all going to load up in the boat tomorrow morning? What would be the first thing that we would try?
Well, the first thing I ask you, do we want to focus on trying to catch the big ones, or we want to go catch fish? Right now, I think I can get up in the creeks. The last few trips, we went up to Coffee Creek, Oilwell Bay, and we got the best creek, Glade Creek, and got almost in where the creek goes into the woods. And there's some fish that's real shallow, I guess, due to having an oxygen or a little bit of vegetation. You're not going to catch the 5-pound average, and normally my trips, run 15, 20 fish a day. That'll average that. For the last 3 days, we're lucky if we get 8 or 10 decent bites all day, and we're not putting the big ones in the boat. They're just not biting.
That's the ones I'm going to be coming to tag anyway. For next year, those are the ones we're going to be putting the tags on, are the smaller ones. So keep that in mind. Go ahead and give me a GPS on that.
Johnny,
Well,
don't you?
If you're tagging Lake Fork bass, it won't take long. They'll have that one caught by the afternoon.
Johnny, don't you find that the Floridas tend to, especially in the heat of the summertime, they will still migrate up to that shallow water, won't they?
They will, and I did make a trip up there the week before 4th of July. My son didn't want to catch a live bait, big old blue, the bluegill used for big bass. They had, let's go and fish the front. And they're probably not biting, but we went, and I caught a 8.4 and 24.5 inches of 3 foot of water on a swim jig. So you never know. I didn't expect that, But
wow,
drop shots probably our best catching fish right now. You can actually tomato red. Worm, a trick worm, and throw a drop shot. But those little fish, 12, 14, 15 inches, and if you're fishing a tournament, that's what you need to be doing. But hey, we're still trying to find out where did these big old bass. I know they're here. I know they're eating sometime or other, but we just hadn't connected.
If I just wanted to catch a big old box of brim, are your brush tops still full of brim?
Ooh, I'm trying to catch small brim. I like the real small ones right now, and the big old stud bluegill are just eating us up. And you can go to any of the bridge pilings and fish in between that cross member, drop a little piece of earthworm down, and about three big ones, and you finally catch a little one. But yeah, if you was going to fillet a mess of brim, we can catch brim. And a lot of customers enjoying catching them more than they are not getting bit on the bass.
Now, what about those catfish? Because, when you and Steve and Mike and I all went, we started stroking those big old channel catfish. Are those still showing up on you, those in the ops?
Yeah, this is a super catfish. Like catfish, Bayou Dave just loaded his boat up a minute ago. They had 70 this morning, a party of 4, and he was really disappointed he didn't get the 4 fish, 100, for their limit for first day. He hadn't got that. So cats are biting good.
That bears a little bit of highlight on it. He's ticked off. They only caught 70.
Caught 70. Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry.
This guy works at it. He puts out the range cues, baits the holes, and he's probably caught over 7,000 on 2 jugs. He ties up on over and over and over. It is so full of channels, and we caught about 6 or 8 of those yesterday using brim heads, and I just cut the head off a little bluegill, and that's fun because we get some bites, and every once in a while we get a big old bass bite up too.
Johnny, what about the when these afternoon? We've had several of these afternoon storms come through, and drop a little rain, cool things off. Is the bite really good before that happens, or has it been a lot better after that happens?
I tell you, I started back on this solar table watch. I had my alarm go off yesterday, Steve. I told them about the story that happened with us a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And we were under the bridge, or a little bit of schooling activity, and kind of getting out of the heat. And sure enough, I hear something alarming, and we get a double on. And we hadn't even smelled a double all day long. So I'm watching that solar tables and trying to be there during the major and the minor. If the day I can get both of those in a full day of fishing, that's usually when I expect to get bit.
Johnny, how do we get in the boat with you, brother? If nothing else, I promise you're going to learn something about reading your electronics. PD says that the bass have been biting about 30 feet on Toledo Bend. You want to go learn about your electronics and apply that to Toledo Bend? Book a trip with Johnny at Lake Fork, and I promise you're going to walk away from that and you're going to go, now I can see where there's bass. How does somebody make that happen, Johnny?
Yeah, let me get you real quick. I'm sitting at 2.2 foot of depth under a shady tree in the water now. The water temperature's 93.2.
Yeah,
that's what we're facing. So,
wow.
Just call me at 972-800-3882. Area code's 972-800-3882. And if the bite's still tough like it is, I'm going to suggest we wait a few days or week till we get them back turned on, because it's just a tough act.
So you can take some ramen noodles right now, and in 30 minutes you're eating lunch probably.
Just about it. I tell you, it feels like bath water when you put your hands in it.
Oh, my gosh.
Johnny, thank you, brother. We so appreciate
you.
you. Keep those pictures updated on your Facebook page like always. It's a trip to keep up with that.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it.
You betcha. Johnny Geis, our Lake Fork Guide of the Year for hooking up and tracking down. 11:30, the Tiger. We are hooking up and tracking down 11:30 the Tiger. If you're headed for the Gulf Coast region for some great fishing, don't be that guy. Ask PD. He's got those that guys. That guy that forgot to register for the CCA Louisiana Star statewide tournament and anglers rodeo. It started back on Memorial Day. It's running through Labor Day, just like the Bass Cash Bash. Star is Louisiana CCA's largest membership drive and helps provide funding for all types of coastal and intercoastal projects statewide. Anglers compete for over $500,000 in prizes from boats to trucks. It's not too late. Get registered right now. Go to ccastar.com to learn more and to register for the greatest fishing tournament in the Gulf Coast region. Coastal Conservation Association of Louisiana, making a difference in the future of our waterways.
Hey, and also, folks, if you just can't get enough of Hooking Up, Tracking Down show, tune in Saturday mornings from 6 till 8 for more news from the great outdoors with Gary McCoy, Mike Eccles, yours truly, the Dink Master, Steve Graff. These guys are full of great information that's guaranteed to make you a better hunter or fisherman. Tune in from 6 till 8 Saturday mornings right here at 11:30 The Tiger, home of the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show.
Y'all mind if I make you mad? I'm pretty good at that. Ask my wife. I posted a video on the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Facebook page, and you might have already seen it, PD. You're pretty social media savvy. There was two guys fishing on a bridge like in a little park. They're minding their own business, just fishing. You've seen this?
Oh, I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it. I don't know how that guy can get his teeth knocked out.
I'm just telling you, what they're fishing, minding their own business. They caught a fish. What kind of fish was that?
It was a bass.
Was it a bass?
It was a largemouth bass.
Okay, I couldn't tell.
Yeah, they laid it down on the concrete and continued to fish, and a tree hugger walks up and
and just totally initiates.
Yes.
They start off with the little boy, and I thought that was
sent the little kid over to tell him
the most cowardice
to
thing
stop fishing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then this group comes in. Now, that's this activist group that doesn't believe that anybody should go fishing ever. They equated a fish to a baby.
Yeah.
Would you stick a baby with a hook?
I know.
Or throw him on the sidewalk?
At what point in the book of Genesis does it say that the animals have dominion or equality with the humans?
Nowhere. But what was frustrating, there is a law that specifically says you cannot hinder or interfere with the person taking of legal taking of fish, or and they're breaking the law doing that. When they grabbed his fish and threw it back in the water,
my question.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe that.
My question to Graff was, because this man had legally caught a fish. He's fishing in legal waters. He's fishing by legal means. He was a licensed angler, the whole 9 yards. He's got this fish. The minute that he catches that fish, is that his property?
Yes, and that's his catch.
So when they throw that fish back, could a value be assigned to that fish? Could you take them to small claims court and sue for the value of that fish?
Now that I don't know,
because I'm telling you,
well, of course you can sue anybody for anything nowadays.
If the mental anguish, that could have been the biggest fish he's ever caught. I'd want $1 million. I've never caught one that big before. Now the reason why I'm bringing all this up is because the stuff that they're doing with the intent of public awareness and this kind of stuff. I'm telling you that as anglers, as hunters, as outdoors people, if we don't start pushing back and suing over trivial little things, I'm telling you, I don't know of a legal way that I would have handled that situation.
I can tell you, there would not have been a legal way that I would have handled it.
I
would be in jail right now.
Right.
There's no way I could have put up with what those guys.
The minute you touch my fish, it's me and you.
And yelling in my face, well, I could not do it. I don't have that kind of patience.
They could have literally thrown his rod and reel in the lake. That's possession. I mean, he owns that. The fish, he owned it too.
Yes.
So either way, they could have gotten his truck and drove off. He owns that truck too.
They broke the law, plain and simple. Now I haven't seen a follow up to that video to see if those guys were arrested or if anything was done to that group.
The police,
they broke the law when they interfered with them trying to legally take a fish or hunt.
Well, the police showed up at the scene. They said that the activist group was leaving. They were all getting in their cars as they were there, and they said, they couldn't see so far that any law was broken. Those guys had not seen the video.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
that's what I'm saying. I haven't seen a follow-up. Now that the video has been seen, has there been anything happen?
You know where this took
Florida.
place?
It took place in Florida.
Okay.
There you go.
And the only reason I say that is because someone went on further down in the post in some of the comments, and it actually posted the statute of Florida. It's like 2.A. That gives the law for you cannot interfere with a person that's trying to legally take a fish in public waters.
Because I can tell you right now, had that occurred around Lake Bistineau or Black Lake, Louisiana,
we'd just be hiding the body.
Yeah, exactly. There'd been somebody thrown over the bridge with the fish.
Now I would bet you that per capita, Florida's right up there with the number of anglers in America.
There's no doubt.
Yeah,
there's
a number of liberals out there.
But what I'm talking about is number of anglers. So we're thinking sitting right here, oh, man, that'll never happen here.
No.
No, wait a minute. Whoa. I'll bet you in Florida they thought, oh, man, that'll never happen here. The point that I'm making is you better prepare to defend your right to hunt, to fish, to do the things that we were all raised up to. You better be prepared to defend that. And you better learn from seeing this video. And I'm telling you right now, if they don't seek legal recourse on this, you've opened the door to allow that kind of activity to happen again and again and again. Okay. And then when somebody dies because they run into a PD or a Steve or a Gary, and the guy throws him over the bridge and kills him, that'll be on you.
Yes.
Because you could have taken this to legal and shown them you can't act like this.
But that's anything. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. They infringe on your rights. They take those 2 steps forward until you actually stand up for yourself and say, whoa, whoa, whoa. So then instead of taking those 2 steps back, they only take 1 step back.
Yeah.
Right.
And then here they come, they take 2 more steps forward, and you say, whoa, 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 so they take 1 step back.
But you got to understand, guys, Florida is there are certain places that are, I call international places. Houston, Texas is one of those. There's people from all over the world in Houston, Texas. Florida is an international state.
Well, because of Miami. Yeah.
I mean, they have people from all over the world that are residing in Florida. That's why it's such a liberal state right now. And California's in the same boat with them. My point is, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, Texas, especially in the northeastern Texas, East Texas region, I don't think this would happen.
See,
I don't think this would happen because of the demographic group of people that live in those states.
I think that's exactly what they're wanting. They want the
They knew in Florida they could challenge
views,
that.
They want the web hits.
No, they knew in Florida they could get away with it.
See, I'm telling you
I don't know that they've gotten away with it. That's what I say. I've never seen a follow-up to see if anything was done. If something wasn't done, then that angler needs to
the shame on you.
He needs to do everything he can to ensure that something is done.
We want to
he
see
needs
the
to go
butt
file
whipping videos.
complaints.
I'm just telling you, there comes a point when we cannot sit back and allow this to happen.
I agree.
I totally agree.
As an outdoorsman, you bet. Now,
but
what
again,
I'm saying, you got to do it legally. Because you throw him, then your whole cause is over. You throw him over the bridge, your whole cause is gone.
Well,
then.
you had a gentleman get arrested on Toledo Bend, 2 months ago?
Because somebody's fishing his brush top.
Yeah, exactly.
I know the guy. He's one of our registration stations. The guy that pulled his gun out because the other boat was fixing to ram his boat.
Oh, wow.
That's something we didn't hear.
You didn't hear the whole story.
Wow.
So the guy pulls up and says, "Hey, you're fishing my brush pile." A brush pile that's been there for 30 years. I fished it whenever I was growing up with my dad.
Yeah.
And this guy pulls up and says, "You're on my brush pile," and starts coming at his pontoon, fixing to ram his pontoon boat with the guide with clients on his boat.
Wow.
Is fixing to ram this guy that's just anchored up fishing.
Wow.
All he did was reach down and pull his gun out and put it at his side. That's it.
Yeah, we heard him set it in his lap, but, whatever.
That's what he did.
He never raised it up and pointed.
No, never raised it up, pointed. They arrested him for that. Is that right?
No, it ain't right.
Well, the court will determine that. I don't. If it went down exactly that way, no, I don't believe that. I believe what you're saying would have been.
I definitely would have felt threatened.
At what point do you get to defend yourself? When he rams your boat, knocks your wife off into the water, and she drowns?
Yeah. Has a shot got to be fired before you can pull your weapon?
Exactly.
Might be too late.
Well, like I said when we had the interview with the officer that came on the show, somebody steps in your boat. It's just like coming in your house. You have the right or in your car.
But he's going to ram it.
Yeah.
Time for our final word for this week.
Let me get to it. Here we go. Every trip to ICAST, I get overwhelmed with the innovation and new products that companies introduce. They continue to reinvent the wheel just when you think there's nothing else anyone can create. Whether it's tackle storage companies like Groove Tackle or new coolers from K2, new topwater baits like the Stutter Step from Bill Lewis Lures, a new jig from V&M called the Skip Jig, or even the line cutter from Stingray Line Cutters. These companies spend thousands of dollars in product development and think outside the box so that we, the consumer, can use and enjoy the latest and greatest products for the great outdoors. For Gary McCoy, Mike Eccles, Jay Wiley, yours truly, Steve Graff.
And P.D. Vincent.
And P.D. Vincent. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week right here on 1130 The Tiger.
Me, guys.
For more hooking up and tracking down.
Things move at a slower pace. Nobody's in the rat